Welcome back, everybody. Good evening. It's the Six Rings King show here, back at you on this beautiful Thursday night, joined by Paul Austria, Danny Gillette. I'm Jazz Santana. Where did our names go, by the way? Our names disappeared here. There it
There it
we
is.
are. There we are. Thanks for joining us, Manny Chang on the ones and twos producing the show. Thank you guys. We are an extension of the Five Reasons Sports Network and Five Rings Canes podcast as well. Make sure you guys check us out on YouTube at the Five Reasons YouTube channel. Five Reasons Sports Network YouTube channel. Subscribe, click, let's give us a like, and also we're on the YouTube network. Shout out to Brad Tejeda, Miami Flow, Max, everybody over there. Jazz, there's another Jazz over there, by the way. She does amazing edits. I'm sure you all have seen her on Twitter do some pretty kick-ass edits. But nevertheless, thank you all on that network as well. And of course, I know it's Thursday and the spring game was Saturday, and we only get to to kind of talk about this 4 or 5 days after. But listen, I mean, a very vanilla game plan. I get it, but there was still some exciting things to talk about that we'll get into. We also want to kind of recap and update you on the situation with De'Aaron King's rehab. If you saw the video today, it looks like he's starting to do some light run work, I guess, some skipping and doing some high knees and whatnot. So he's looking good. Looking like he'll be back for fall football, as far as what Coach Manny Diaz is saying. So really excited about that. Got some news as well on a recruit who is coming in now in the summer term, probably our prized possession of the 2021 class, possibly making a move to a different position. And we'll talk a little bit about that and some other recruiting news, as Paul alluded to right before we started the show. Long list for that June 1st barbecue, which is pretty exciting news, and we'll go over that as well. So let's go ahead and kick it off and talk a little bit about the spring game. Your thoughts on what you saw out there. Although it was a vanilla game plan, you still saw – I know we saw a lot of passing, which it was just natural, right? Missing two running backs, only having Cam Harris and Jalen Knighton being as far as scholarship guys, right? Big-time guys that were actually able to play in the backfield. And, of course, missing all of our scholarship tight ends as well. Some other news there is Larry Hodges got into some trouble also. So won't really go into that too much because don't really want to talk about, kind of the negative and the ugly part of it all. But it is what it is. So getting back to it, we saw Tyler Van Dyke, Jake Garcia both play with the ones. Both look really good. I know a lot of people are kind of, kind of pushing for Jake Garcia to get that QB2 spot. But listen, you can't take anything away from Tyler Van Dyke. Looked really good as well. Made some really nice throws. Both of them look like they have really good pocket awareness, right? They were able to step up in the pocket, make some throws. Listen, the defense, honestly speaking, right? The defense got a couple sacks. They just didn't call it, which is good to see as well. So they got some pressure. But you still notice that on one specific throw, this is what I want to start off with because this, I think, was the most impressive part. And I think, Paul, you know where I'm going with this, right? And I want to get your takes because if you guys saw what I saw, it was pretty impressive, was the fact that Jake Garcia stood in the pocket and almost took a lick from Ryan Ragone, right? Ryan Ragone, which, by the way, that guy should get kicked in the face anyways for doing what he did, kind of going low on Jake Garcia. But he stood in the pocket, took a little bit of a hit, and threw a strike. Talk to me about how excited you are to see Jake Garcia's progression and how good he looks so far, both of you. We'll start off with Paul. Go ahead.
It's exciting, numbers from spring game, 19 of 25, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns, played really well. And honestly, he could have had probably a couple more completions had he not had a couple of drops from, a couple of receivers that you probably know the names of. But man, he looked good. Like it's still, I was really excited just, going to Saturday, just kind of like, cause, obviously everyone's been raving about, what Jake has done, but behind closed doors, and we can only go by, what coaches tell us, what players tell us, and what videos the social media team decides to put out. But to finally see him in action, I was impressed. Like, if you had told me that Jake was a freshman or even a true freshman, I'd be shocked. And then top of that, this kid is probably supposed to go to his senior prom around this time, initially. But here he is, wearing orange and green. And man, like I was just blown away. Like he's not afraid at all. There's no fear in this kid. He hangs in the pocket. He has really solid pocket presence. Although he was the only quarterback in the game to take the sacks. I think he took like 3 or 4, and Lashley gave him a lot of crap for it. You could definitely see from the media box that he was definitely yelling at him. But he's very poised. He's very poised. He has great pocket control. He's very confident. Like you saw, like here was a couple throws where he went deep to Mark Pope on a 50-yard pass, and then another one to D Wiggins, which was thrown on the money. But I think Wiggins was not able to haul it in. I think it was Stevenson that was able to pluck it out. But
Well,
man,
and the truth is, by the way, if that would have gone to replay, it would have been a catch. They would have reversed it because apparently he fell to the ground, rolled over. Yeah, he was down, and then is when the ball popped out. But still, you got to maintain control. But anyways,
yeah, no, it's and you've seen like how he's Miami's biggest or highest ranked quarterback recruit in the past like 15 years since
Kyle Wright.
Yeah, that was 03. I was in third grade. Like, that was a long time ago. And,
great. Thanks, guys. Thanks. I was a sophomore in college.
The old man over here.
Unbelievable.
I think not even take away from. I mean, TVD played well. He was 12 of 17, 102 yards. He didn't play in the second half. It was mostly just Drake, and then the second half along with Matoka, and I think it was Ryan Risk. But man, like it's. I think before we thought that TVD was basically the shoe-in just because he's had a year under the offense. He's seen the offense. He's I guess worked under Coach Lashley for a year. But I mean, I honestly I think it's a lot closer than people think. It's like Jake is no fluke whatsoever. Like he's not just a true freshman that is here early and needs a year as well. I'm not gonna say he's a starter. I mean quality, but I think I saw somewhere. I think May Navarro put an article on the Athletic today, or no, a couple of days ago, where he got some from scouts, and they're saying he could play for almost every ACC school, or even start for every ACC school except for Clemson and UNC, maybe even a few SEC programs and a lot of the other Power 5 programs as well.
That's high praise, man. That's high praise.
Yep.
He's no joke. He's a real joke.
Look, Danny, I kind of want to throw this to you because, aside from Jake Garcia, him making some throws, but listen, the wide receivers, some of those wide receivers look really good this past weekend as well. Particularly, we saw what Charleston Rambo is going to be. He's going to be that guy that when we need the tough yards, it looks like he's going to be the guy that they're going to go to. Him or Mike Harley, right? Obviously, Mike Harley has cemented himself as wide receiver 1, but you saw some really great things from him. And then you saw the battle for wide receiver 3, right, between Xavier Restrepo, Keyshawn Smith. A lot of people are really kind of leaning to the hot name of Keyshawn Smith now. Oh, my gosh, it's Keyshawn Smith. But then you see Xavier Restrepo make a huge, badass play in the corner on that Tyler Van Dyke throw, which, by the way, was a beautiful throw as well. Great catch. Maintained at least 1 foot in, which is all you need in college football for that touchdown, right? He beat Cam Kitchens on a route. So that was nice to see. As well. Talk to me a little bit about what you were excited to see from the wide receiver spot and what you weren't excited to see, because I know you want to talk about that also.
Yeah, definitely. I was excited to see Charleston Rambo continue to kind of be the playmaker that, we think he's going to be. He had 7 catches for 72 yards, and he really showed that type of explosiveness that he can bring to the table. What I saw from the wide receivers was like you just mentioned, Xavier Restrepo, kids battling for wide receiver 3. This is where the depth comes in. I saw players fighting for playing time, players who wanted to play, wide receivers who know that this is not going to be a shoo-in, that they're going to have to work. And in the process of that, I saw a lot of interesting fall camp battles forming. A lot of the stuff we saw on Saturday is going to make for an intriguing fall camp, especially at wide receiver. It seemed like at times last year we were talking about, not enough depth at wide receiver. This year, it's the exact opposite of that. We have guys who are playmakers and guys who may not be explosive playmakers, but who are hungry to play and who want to be a part of the offense. So it's going to shape up to be an interesting fall camp for sure.
Well, here's another thing, right? We kept for all intent, for lack of a better expression, we kept ragging on Mark Pope and D Wiggins, right? D Wiggins with the drop, not making many plays, did okay in spring game. Mark Pope dropped a beautiful ball. Was it Jake Garcia? Right? It was Jake Garcia or it was Tyler Van Dyke?
I'm not
but he was
sure,
wide open.
But there was so much separation. Like in the press box, you heard
it was crazy.
Like, oh. Yep. Everyone said it. Like, it was so funny, but it was so sad at the same time. We're just like, oh my god, not
and
again.
still he quietly had over 100 yards receiving.
Yeah.
Right? Which is kind of sneaky good, but at the same time, you want to see him catch the pass that's the for sure touchdown, basically, at that point. Because I think
he could have had a lot more yards.
Right.
Like, he could have had 200 yards, which is the crazy part. But I think just like it's the same story with Pope, I guess, just because like it's just the drops. So of course,
it's the inconsistency.
Like you've had an off season now to work on it, to clean up your game, and it's basically the same redundancy where this like I mentioned, like during the bowl game against Oklahoma State, that basically cost them the game.
Right.
He had a couple times that basically cost them the game, and really held the team back, especially when they came back in the fourth quarter. So it's now just like, okay, it's looking like they probably have to rely on these other guys like Rambo, like Harley, even X to kind of, I guess, pick up the slack and really be the receivers that DR King can rely on for Miami to have a better season.
Yep. And by the way, I just noticed this. Kind of want to update this because I think it's important to mention. Has nothing to do with the spring game, but it has to do with the hurricane. Marshall Few, who was kind of like the I guess the Rudy of the Miami Hurricanes. Really, I hate to say it that way, but being a huge Hurricane fan, Chrissy Chirinos wrote on Twitter that he's actually stepping away from football to pursue another long-time goal, and that's to become a special tactics officer in the U.S. Air Force. So that's pretty amazing stuff. So props to him. Yeah, big ups to Marshall Few. We love that guy. He's going to be a King for life. But we're blessed to have that kind of guy going to represent us, our country as well. So, best of luck to him in his future as well. Getting back to the spring game though, listen, I was excited to see that. I was excited to see a walk-on guy really put on a show, man. Dante Johnson, by the way, guy who was on Last Chance U at Independence College, make a little bit of noise, catching some nice balls, doing some run after the catch, breaking a couple tackles, looked good. Listen, don't count anybody out in this offense, really, because I think that, Manny Diaz and the whole entire offense is starting to learn their lesson that it doesn't matter who the hell you are, man. If you can produce, if you can go out on the field, and he's a big body, he's a big dude. I thought he was a tight end at first, honestly, but then I saw him line up out wide, so that was kind of nice to see. I just like the competition, man. There's competition.
Yeah.
And even Mark Pope, who we've been down on and didn't have such, we didn't think had such a great game, ends up with over 100 yards, could have had more. It's just his inconsistencies. But when he's on, he's good. He's good. The thing is that if he's not consistent, then he's not going to play a lot, right? And that's just the bottom line. So you got to have consistency at that position. Cam Harris did all right. Jalen Knighton did okay. They both did well running the ball. What I like to see also was that as the game got on, that offensive line was strong, man. They got strong. They started opening up holes late on in that game. And whether you were going up against the ones, the twos, or the threes, if you can, the offensive line was the ones, the twos, and the threes as well. So if you can open up holes like that, and you have that, kind of I guess stamina per se, right, where it gets down to the fourth quarter crunch time, and you can outmuscle a team and wear them down like that, then listen, this team is gonna do some damage, especially later on in the year when typically this team starts to falter and kind of lose their oomph per se, right? So I was excited to see that. On defense, a lot of people had a lot of things to say, a lot of great things to say about the freshman Chase Smith, who apparently was all over the field. Paul, you kind of saw firsthand also the athleticism of Tyreek Stevenson, who we kept seeing those videos of him getting toasted, and I don't think that was a fair representation. They're going to show highlights of some guys making great plays, and it doesn't matter who it was against, right? So But you saw it. You saw Tyreek Stevenson's play. You saw the play of Avante Williams, who needs to be in that lineup, needs to play a lot. Cam Kitchens is another kid. Keyshawn Washington laid a lick on. By the way, another wide receiver we didn't even mention who made a couple plays. Daz Worsham, who I like. He looks like he's gained some weight, gotten a little better. He may not factor in so much this year, but I think if you give him a shot, he's going to stick around. He's going to play well. I like that kid. We'll see what happens. Maybe he might be a transfer casualty, though. That's going to happen eventually. You're hearing some words that there may be some transfers after spring football ends. So who knows? But a little bit on the defensive side, going back to the defensive side, we saw all these guys, a lot of safeties. I mentioned a lot of safeties, but I also want to mention Chase Smith, who is kind of like that linebacker striker position, Tyreek Stevenson at the corner position, and Keontre Smith playing really well, weak side linebacker. We saw him make some plays also. Talk to me a little bit about what you saw from the defensive side of the ball. I didn't even mention the defensive ends because I don't know how, you were there. Talk to me a little bit about what you saw from that aspect.
The defense played well overall. I mean, you mentioned Tyreek Stevenson. I mean, he kind of brought what we all expected from Georgia: solid corner, very physical, ideal size. I think he did a great job just covering. But you mentioned also the safeties as well. I mean, I was excited to see both Avante Williams and Cam Kitchens. And man, Avante can tackle. Like I don't know a better way to even say this, but he tackles different compared to what the safeties have tackled like in the past. He's not afraid to use his shoulder. He's not afraid to lay down the hammer on anyone. I think he does need to kind of work on maybe wrapping up because guys are gonna be harder to tackle at the next level. But I think he'll figure that out soon. But I mean, he's very, very strong. He was all over the field. I think he's definitely a safety that quarterback has to keep track of. He can fly all over the place. Kitchens also played great. I think he had like 5 to 6 tackles. He also had 1 pick as well. Played very, very solid. And defensive line play was solid. Dante Johnson had 2.5 tackles for a loss. He even had 1 sack. I think he sacked Jake Garcia in the end zone for a safety.
Right.
As the game went on, I think the defensive line was kind of picking up its pace, and they were getting to the quarterback often. Basically, Jake Garcia, because he was the only one that took sacks. I say Dunson. That's another name to keep an eye on for the quarterback race. I mean, Corey Couch didn't play. DJ Ivy ended up leaving in the first half with an injury. So Dunson was able to get his run, and he played really well. He actually had 5.5 tackles, 1 pass breakup, and a fumble recovery. I think he's the one that recovered the fumble from the Keyshawn Washington hit on Daz. And
right.
Isaiah Dunson, I think, is another name you can't sleep on as well. Especially I think we were all wondering how cornerback play would pan out after a season, after changing coaches. But I think they're in much better hands now. I think that now the corner is going to be, I guess, more ready, definitely more physical. I think, and especially with Reed kind of pushing the guys, it's going to be exciting to see. And I think one thing that I guess I am concerned about was, and it's kind of pouring over from last season. Outside of Chase Smith, outside of Keontre Smith as well, is that just linebacker play as a whole. I mean, you didn't see a lot of linebackers kind of pop up near the ball, when plays were dead. I think, I mean, there were a lot of injuries too. I think you didn't really see Sam Brooks, but Bradley Jones played. I didn't really see him around the ball at all.
I don't even remember him getting his name called at all.
Exactly. No, exactly.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't have to kind of have that thought in your head when you watch them. But
right.
I mean, overall, too. Like I think I was thinking this too. Like the game didn't feel sloppy. It didn't feel like players are kind of just making like really, really bad mistakes or whatever. I think the game was overall just very clean. I think they're
except for the first drive when there was like 4 or 5 penalties, right? That was it.
Yeah.
After that was fine.
That was the only thing. But other than that, I think that I think even after like the old like kind of I think even like both the O-line and the E-line kind of had their lapses, but they all rebounded from that and they played better. They kind of rebounded from that. So I think there's definitely a lot to be excited about with this defense, and it's kind of looking similar to what Diaz's defense would look like, or did look like back then. So it's it's really early, and we didn't even see Bubba Bolden. We didn't see Al Blades too. You can't forget those names. So I mean, the defense played pretty solid. I think nothing to really, I guess, worry about except the lack of playmaking against that linebacker.
Well, and that's a great transition because Danny, there's been talks out there that now, first of all, Manny Diaz didn't give a definitive answer. He kind of didn't answer the question. He basically regarding, if the roster is set and whatnot, and if they're going to go kind of to the transfer portal again. There is word out there that there's been some players that are connected to transferring over to Miami. One being a linebacker, Jawan Mitchell, I think his name is, a kid out of Texas. It's in the transfer portal. Who is I think he's a senior now, and he's looking to transfer and play again. A kid from Texas. I mean, look, it's a big time program. Don't know how good he really is. Not 100% sure. Maybe a pretty good football player, but sometimes, these guys, especially with a new regime coming in Texas, maybe he needs a fresh start. Maybe he needs something different over there. So what I'm trying to get at here is, does Miami need to go get a few more guys in the transfer portal, primarily at the defensive side, on the defensive side of the ball, and really most importantly at the linebacker position?
Yeah, I think so, because the fact that we didn't really hear a lot from the linebackers on Saturday was a bit concerning. It was similar to what we saw last year. Now, when you talk about a guy like Jawan Mitchell from Texas, he had 62 tackles last season. So he would definitely bring an aggressive element to that position. It seems like we're a broken record when we talk about the linebackers. We keep waiting for them to kind of show up and assert themselves on this defense. We've heard a lot from the safeties, and we've heard a lot from the ends, but the linebacker play still really hasn't been there. And what they do at linebacker is going to be very interesting. I would love to see them bring in a guy like Mitchell. He's a proven player. He played really well, like I said, last season, and he could definitely bring in an energy to this defense and kind of, I don't want to say fill the gap at linebacker, but add a playmaker there to help complement the rest of the playmakers on this defense, because there is a lot of playmakers on this defense. And if the linebacker position can get shored up just a little bit, then that would make a huge difference for the Hurricanes.
Right before we get into some recruiting news, I kind of want to end the spring recap with this, right? Again, going back to who you guys think are really going to go into fall camp as QB2 and wide receiver 3. If you had to give me both names, and then we'll move on to some recruiting. Who do you think, Paul, is going to be your quarterback to QB2 going into fall camp?
Oof, dang, you okay. Was right,
man,
this one.
It's a hard-hitting questions around here on the 6th ring, baby.
Hey, honestly,
Ryan Risk. Oh, nice. Good job, man. Good call there, man.
Hey, don't leave out Peyton. Don't leave out Peyton.
Yeah, Peyton Matoka. And by the way, they both played pretty well.
Yeah, they're solid.
They both did.
I think it's Jake. Honestly,
Jake?
I think it's Jake. I love just where he is right now in development. Like, there's just so much to work with right now that I want to just really see him go through a fall camp and see what he is truly capable of. And I mean, it's nothing against TVD. I love TVD. But I just think that the upside with Jake right now is a lot higher. And remember, I did give the prediction where I feel like, out of the three of TVD, Jake, and Jacoby Brown coming in next year, I've always felt like one of them won the transferring.
Oh yeah, I think so.
So I think that it's, I don't know. I am on the Jake train now, I guess.
So who's your wide receiver 3?
My receiver 3. Okay, so
is it Restrepo or Keyshawn Smith or other Mark Pope?
I think it's Keyshawn. I think Keyshawn definitely has taken the next step in his development as well. We kind of saw, even earlier last year. I feel like he didn't get enough playing time for one reason or another. So So I think that he definitely made a lot of plays on Saturday as well, which really impressed me. And I think I think because I feel like Keyshawn you could use it different ways. I don't think you could use him in the slot, but I think he's more of a well-rounded receiver. Like a better way to put it. He's definitely a well-rounded receiver versus X, who is primarily more of like a slot guy, more slotty speed guy. And I think just Keyshawn. I mean, I think Keyshawn even next year could be, the wide receiver 1 too. That's how good I think he could be.
Danny, who do you think is QB2? Real quick.
Jake Garcia.
Jake Garcia.
Yeah, you don't leave that type of talent sitting on the bench for too long. He is the type of quarterback, kind of like Paul said, you can develop him now through fall camp, and then that would give stability for the program moving forward for the next couple of seasons. He has the talent to play right now, and I think he could really put Miami on an even better track than they are right now.
And who's your wide receiver 3?
I'd have to go with Keyshawn Smith as well. He has that big time playmaking ability, and he can definitely add a spark to a very wide open Miami offense.
Well, here's the thing, right? So I think that I'm kind of with you guys on the Jake Garcia thing. I think that he goes into fall camp as QB2. I think him and TVD do split reps, but the key is going to be for him to stay consistent, to learn from his mistakes in the spring. Because if he continues to do certain things like hold on to the ball a little too long, take too many sacks, TVD might be the guy that's going to come in case, God forbid, anything happens to the Eric King. Okay, just because of that, right? Especially in the tight game, you might see a guy like TVD who might protect the ball a little bit more. I guess it all depends on situation. The good news is it's a good problem to have. At wide receiver 3, look, I was leaning towards Restrepo at the beginning just because of the way that he was developing, and they started giving him the ball more, and you see him making plays. But I think it's going to be Keyshawn. I think, again, it's going to be another situation where you're going to see both of them play a lot, okay? But if you had to give one the nod, maybe Keyshawn Smith because, like you said, Paul and Danny, his big play ability. His ability to catch a hook or a hitch, make a guy miss, and get into the end zone like he did last weekend, right? You saw that. Jake Garcia threw him an out route. It was basically like a little hitch route. He caught the ball, made a guy miss, and basically ran right into the end zone. So I just like Xavier Restrepo's ability to get lost and get open, kind of get lost in a crowd because – and just find a spot to get open. Very, very Braxton Berrios-esque. So I like that about him as well. I think they're both going to play, but I also think Restrepo's going to get a lot of time kick returning and punt returning as well. So that might give Smith also the edge to kind of play a little bit more at the wide receiver spot. We'll see. It's just going to be fun. It's going to be fun to see because there's still going to be some other position battles. You're still going to see, I think, safety battles as well with Avante playing so well and Cam Kitchens playing well and even Keyshawn Washington. All 3 of those guys played really well. So I'd like to see what happens there. Moving over to we don't have a lot of time left, but moving over a little bit to some recruiting news and some updates. First of all, like we mentioned earlier, De'Aaron King looking really good in his rehab, starting to run a little bit. Manny Diaz says he's going to be ready. Right, so we're all pretty excited about that one. I think the other updates are also, like I mentioned, a little bit about Larry Hodges' situation. But I think the biggest one that kind of threw me off a little bit was the Leonard Taylor news. We all know the prize possession, 5-star recruit coming in, defensive tackle. Apparently, some word out there saying that he may start off or get an opportunity to play a little bit at the defensive end position. Number one, because of the depth already at defensive tackle. But number 2, because of the lack of hey, Miami Flow, what's going on, man? I think Miami Flow is up tomorrow, by the way. Big shout out. Thank you, brother, for joining us. But I think it's also the defensive end position not being so shored up yet. We don't know what we're going to get out of guys like Jafari Harvey, even though he's been here for 6 years already, it seems like. Cam Williams and Chance. I think that they should move Elijah Roberts out to the end as well because he is playing. He's playing really well at defensive tackle. I like what I'm seeing from him. So, what do you guys think about that moving Leonard Taylor over the defensive end? First of all, even if it happens, but second of all, do you like the move?
I think it's still more of like mumblings right now that it could happen. But I guess it's a good problem to have just because he is that athletic. If you guys have
Right.
seen the tape, like he is freakishly fast and athletic for a defensive tackle. I kind of just want to see him at defensive tackle first. Like I really am excited to just see what he can do. He's unlike I guess you can kind of compare him to like Jared Harrison Hunt because Jared Harrison Hunt used to play basketball too, so he's a very athletic frame. But
He's so fast though. He's quick. That's why I think they like him at defensive end also because he can probably get around the edge.
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know yet.
I wanna I mean Nesta is getting better. John Ford I think is also getting slightly better, but I just feel like
John Ford is who he is though. I think at this point he is who he is.
LT I feel like can be a guy who can just come in right away and just be a force on that defense.
We lost your sound, Paul. We lost your sound.
Hear me out?
There you go. Yeah,
okay.
Go ahead.
So I think that LT can be a bigger force than what Ford is meant to be. That's the thing. Like I really am excited. Like he was rated the number one tackle in the country, in his class for a reason. And I think that we need to see what he's capable of. I mean, I do get the depth concerns at defensive end, but at the same time, Jeff Simpson's back, and I do think that I fully trust in Simpson that he'll definitely get whatever the hell that Jafari Harvey has, what Dante Johnson has, Cameron Williams and what he has. I'm so excited about Cameron Williams. We haven't really seen what he's capable of for a full season. So. Right. I'm more. I don't know. I think
Zach McLeod. Zach McLeod's another. He actually didn't play so bad in the spring game, right? So Zach McLeod's another one. Yeah.
I have more reservations about defensive tackle than defensive end. Is what I'm saying.
Fair enough.
I want to kind of see another Gerald Willis kind of spring about from this defensive line and be that big force on the inside. Just be a problem for kind of offensive lines, or just like at least for their run defense to kind of take that next step and being a force and hopefully become another top 5 defense. But I don't know. I think it's too early to even consider a position change for LT. Is what I'm saying.
I hear you.
I'll be interested to see what Taylor does at defensive end, like Paul kind of alluded to, and you kind of alluded to, Jazz. He has that athleticism to be effective at certain positions. I'll be interested to see how well he gets around the edge because I truly believe if he stays at defensive end, that will be huge for what he's trying to do. Like I said, he has the athleticism, but can he get around the edge? That's my big thing for him. Like Paul kind of alluded to, I think it's important that we see him at defensive tackle, but with Taylor, you get the athleticism where he can at least attempt to play multiple positions, and it's a good kind of luxury to have. I'm just more intrigued as to how it will all play out.
Well, I think what's going to happen with Taylor is you're going to see a lot of, like, when they go big at the line, you might see him go outside wide, right? Whereas it was the other way around when you had Gregory Rousseau here, where when they went big or they went into their pass rush line, he moved inside, right? I think it might be the other way around, or maybe it might stay the same, right? You might keep him. You're still going to keep him in your pass rush when you have your pass rush. I guess whatever you call it, your pass rush scheme or whatever it is that you're going to run. If you're going to pass rush, you might still keep him inside because of his quickness, or you might bring him outside for a run scheme because he can still play the run really well. I think he's so versatile that I think you're going to see him move around. So I'm pretty excited to see there, what they do with him there. Real quick before we close this out, barbecue June 1st, Miami Hurricanes finally. The dead period is over, and there's a huge list, Paul, of guys that are going to be here June 1st. Give me some highlights. Give me some of the big names that are coming June 1st. So the Canes fans can get excited about it.
So it's a long list, and it's basically a long list where they could basically make their own entire recruiting class out of just the attendees from June 1st. And something Manny's kind of hitting the ground hard right when the dead period ends. So a big name that just announced that he was coming is Wesley Gasainth, the 4-star linebacker at Miami Central. I think he's the number 1 linebacker target on their list. So he's going to be there. Travis Lathan, 4-star linebacker out of, I think he goes to Gulliver. He'll be there as well. A few big targets. Kamari Rogers, the 4-star cornerback out of Mississippi, I believe.
Yep, Mississippi. Yeah.
Miami loves him. He will be there. Earl Little Jr. will be there as well. You all know him by his father. Also Nigel Lee Kelly, the 4-star defensive end out of Dillard,
who just recently decommitted, right, from FSU.
Yes, and then a couple staff members got that bad signal like half an hour after that happened. So this could be the icing on the cake. I mean, assuming he doesn't commit before then. Who else am I leaving out? 5-star athlete Sam Mccall. I think he's from Lakeland, if I'm not mistaken.
Isn't he an FSU commit also, or he was?
He is an FSU commit.
Yes.
That's why it's big. He will be coming as well. 3-star cornerback Jordan Allen. 3-star linebacker Omar Graham. I think he's from Stranahan up at Fort Lauderdale. He's coming. Daughtry Richardson, who I think is the 3-star O-liner from Central.
Yeah, from Central. I think he's going to be. By the way, I think he's going to be the next guy to commit. I think he'll be the next guy to commit to Miami. You know, he finally got his offer. I think he had some things. Apparently, he had some things he had to clear up, and then he finally got his offer from Miami. I think he's going to commit soon.
For sure. And two more that I want to mention too is 4-star cornerback Jacoby Spells, long, lanky 6'3" corner from American Heritage. He is coming, and also another one of his teammates, Marvin Jones Jr. I think he's a top 70 kid in the country. Big defensive end. He definitely, I think Miami needs him in this class for sure. Difference maker by far. This will be like their first crack at kind of I think he's been very all over the place in his recruitment so far. So we kind of want to see how, he kind of, I guess, likes the atmosphere. And I mean, with a big group, like this is like 20 kids, I think, that are going to be there April 1st, not even including April 2nd, which is the 2023 classes barbecue.
June 2nd.
Yeah, it's the day after. I think it's the Sunday, I believe. But it's a long list, man. Like I only named like half the 4-star athletes that are going to be there.
I think is Mario. I want to say it because I'm Hispanic. Eugenio Mario Eugenio, who's the defensive end that we've seen the video of him going up against Julian Armella recently, and beating him on a couple of nice pass rush moves. But I want to see him. I want to see more of him. I want to see more tape of Mario Eugenio. It's probably Eugenio, I'm assuming, right? It's not going to be Eugenio. It's Mario Eugenio and Bo Atkinson, the kid from North Carolina. Is he going to be here June 1st?
Bo Atkinson, I don't see on this list.
No. Okay.
But even though there's still going to be a lot of great names and guys that Miami are serious about. It's not like guys that are kind of like
right.
They're just kind of feeling they're kind of just like feeling the water with these guys. Like
this is the pre-paradise camp. That's what it is. Pre-paradise little shindig that they're going to do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kind of cool, man. Pretty excited about it. Listen, guys, you think that we're going to have some downtime, which we probably will not. By the way, we probably will not do something next Thursday as it is draft night, NFL draft night. I mean, maybe we could do something a little mix with the 3 yards per carry folks, do a little college football / NFL draft night. So maybe we will be doing something Thursday night. Stay tuned for that. We'll see what happens. But if not, you can catch us here the following Thursday at 7:30. Manny from 5 Reasons Network here, who is our producer.
All right. So,
hey, Manny, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. All right. So for next Thursday, I know that it's the NFL draft, but I did talk to Ethan. Every single Miami Hurricanes pick that happens, we do want one of you guys to be on standby if you're able to, because you guys have been able to watch these guys obviously last year or whatnot. Just to give you a brief analysis, how do they fit the team that drafted them? What are the expectations and things like that? So so Kane's crew will be a part of it. But obviously, listen, there are a couple guys on there that do seem to be a first round pick.
Right.
You know, and who knows? Maybe Jose Borregales gets drafted late in the first round. Who knows?
I don't know about that, but
Hey, you never know. You never know.
But he will get drafted. I just don't know where. But he'll probably get drafted day 3, which is cool. So we got a lot to talk about. You know, maybe during the week you'll see some of these guys get on the on YouTube as well and throw out some videos. So we'll see if we can do that before Thursday as well. Again, follow us on the 5 Reasons Sports Network YouTube channel and also the YouTube Network channel as well. You can check us out there. Big ups. Thank you to 5 Reasons Sports Network and 5 Reasons Canes. Paul, Danny. By the way, make sure you follow us at 6 Reasons Canes on Twitter and the YouTube channel. Subscribe and give us a nice thumbs up. And we do appreciate it. You'll see us here every Thursday night. Again, thank you so much, Danny and Paul. This is the 6 Rings Canes show. We'll see you guys soon. Go Canes.
Okay.